Hi guys, and welcome to the second episode of the Stoic Performance podcast. My name is Matty Green, and on today's episode we have someone called Michael Weetman, who is a former member of the Parachute Regiment and a strength and conditioning coach. We both went through military life roughly around the same time, both did tours of Iraq and Afghanistan, not too different to each other. We have a good chat about unit life, we have a good chat about training, and also how we've transitioned from that mentality of being a para, being Royal Marine, to now, and how things have changed and how we've progressed as coaches. So yeah, it's a good chat. If you like the content, please feel free to subscribe, give a thumbs up to the video as well. Okay, mate. Recording. How's life?
Yeah, good. I just finished a yipping workout. I'm trying to get myself to do something, just like once or twice a week that's got some relative intensity. Because I'm 2 weeks high to now. So
what was it?
Today was I'm on the sandbags now. I've gone through like cycles of just changing the modality a little bit, and I play on the clubs every day. I'm really enjoying clubs. Since this happened, and then every kettlebell in the world sold out within 24 hours. It was a mad rush.
They're about £1,000.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, oh wait, I used to have clubs in the old gym, but with the steel clubs, and they were more, they were super hard to get any patterns or rhythm going. So I was like, oh, go on then. And then there's a place in Yorkshire that like a supplier in Yorkshire does them, and they came within 24 hours.
Just outside Skipton.
Say again?
Is it just outside Skipton?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in touch with them before. Yeah.
I got the complete wrong size. Obviously, I thought it says medium. I was like, yeah, no problem. I think it's probably like 1.2 or 1.6 kilos. Great, mate. Great. I got those. You think those handles there from Heroic Sport that you should attach to a bottle?
Yes, and then
I think they only cost like I don't know, like 14 quid or something. You can obviously change the bottle, and so that's perfect. They're really good. Yeah, really good piece of kit.
Awesome. I've been using my shoulder rock, from Kabuki Strength, the mace.
Oh yeah.
That's plate loadable, so I've been using it quite a lot.
I think that's the way it goes in it, because instead just although it looks mega, having a massive collection of like medieval kit, it also comes the same as a medieval kingdom would do as well.
All right, mate. So I wanted to bring you on the podcast. So first of all, thank you for making the time. But you're a former para. I'm a former Royal Marine. I thought it'd be good to get a bit of a contrast on how we both kind of found training back then. I think we joined roughly similar times. I think we finished roughly similar times as well. And how we've kind of progressed in our mindset towards training, what we feel about back then, what we feel about now, that type of thing. So if you wouldn't mind, just give us a little 10 seconds on your kind of history in the paras or what.
Yeah, so joined 2004, joined the army, joined the guards, started off in the guards, did most of my time, majority of my time there, then cross-decked after that, and then clung on for too long. I think that's the best way to say it. I think when all the tours finished, and I think when, again, because you say we're the same kind of age, I think once Afghan finished, I just lost motivation. But then, it was hard to come back from the same. Well, this is I think where the contrast actually happens. When we came back, it was just they do like a whole restructure where they ship out all the officers, all the senior blokes, and I don't know, they just reshuffle everything, and then we were back on like ladder courses to change light bulbs. When last week, we're getting rounds down, so I couldn't deal with that. Like I got to a stage where I was like, this is now nonsense. And I think I just came along with times third. I was like, there's more to do now. I think that's everything that it can offer me. And I think I started resented by the end, just couldn't really get out.
For
then
me,
went from that.
When we came back, same thing happened. I've been in Lima Company during the 4-2 Commando. They put me into J Company. Wasn't bothered, but I just thought, why? They're just swapping me for the same, same branch, same job role, just straight swap. And then we started going on these little exercises when I was just thinking, this is, BFA's back attached on, and I'm thinking, what is going on? And I'm looking at my sergeant major, and fair play to him, he's just in it, he's loving it, and I was thinking, I can't play this, I can't keep playing this soldier anymore. I've done it. It's, I'm very lucky to come back, and I don't think I can keep doing this. So it was time for me to make a change. I was approaching 10 years.
Yeah.
And then I got shipped out to train recruits. So after that is when I kind of made the decision. But yeah, I couldn't keep playing soldiers anymore.
It was weird, wasn't it? It was like, because I was so far removed from, the hierarchy, the top hierarchy. Like, it just got to a stage where I started questioning. I was like, this just seems ridiculous, And I think before then, like post, I never had those feelings because I was still quite a young lad. I just think along the maturity, I became quite cynical. And then after Afghan, because Afghan was different because you were left alone quite a bit to do your job finally. That was like, same with you, I presume, but it was the pinnacle of my career. And I was like, this is everything that I wanted, which sounds weird. But it was everything that I wanted to go from that to come back and just get, try like a kid again. I was like, I don't know what your plans are, but I don't think I can keep doing it. And fair play to the ones who could just switch it again. But I just felt like I had more. It was time to do, something else. It just seemed like madness in the end.
Yeah, because I think for us in Iraq, I did Telic 4 in 2004, and it was very much just peacekeeping. Wasn't many rounds going down whatsoever. But Afghan was full circle. Afghan was what I joined to do. And yeah, like you say, I'd reached a pinnacle. I do not think I would ever get that buzz again of, coming out of a helo, landing with the rounds coming down. It will never happen. I've reached it. I've peaked. So why not go out on a high? So, again, luckily we've both come back with both limbs, all 4 limbs, and I can't thank the lads on the ground enough for stuff we did, but I'd reached it, and it was time to move on. But going back to kind of Marines and Paras, there's always been this kind of rivalry there, and I think I want to kind of hear your take on it, if there is any whatsoever.
I reckon then and now I had different opinions. So like this goes along with probably a lot of the issues getting out, and I think you'll all have the same thing. You spend so long being brainwashed into being invincible because of the rigorous testing, and only a select few pass it, and then you are the top. There's apart from lads who go off and do SF and selection, there's nothing that comes close. So you start to kind of start to believe the hype, don't you? And I think you start to become, which is part and parcel of it's trying to like it's like a personality. You start putting on a mask and you start acting a certain way, even if that way isn't you. And I think when it came to the clash between the two, I don't know. We always we were so resentful, I think, and hateful, driven towards anything else, any other. It could have been anyone. It could have been the Army Music Corps. When we'd give them a hard time. But like everything that went along with it, you'd try and you'd drink harder, you'd fight harder, you'd fizz harder, you'd make sure that you were always up early. So it required that mindset and that personality to keep playing that role. You know what I mean? And I think diverging a little bit away from the question saying about the difference, I think the biggest drama in that was never being able to let go of that sidey personality because it no longer served a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, that was tough. But I never had any. We worked with them in Africa. I don't know which one because it was. Hated them then as well. Thought they were awful. Terrible drills. You dress too smart as well. You make a real effort. I don't know whether you like. I don't know whether you got like a ban on like non-issued kit. But you look like, you know, if you took an Action Man out of the packet and they, you know, give it a, that was what we saw you as. Whereas ours was like take it, rub it in the dirt a little bit, you know, chuck it around, you know, kick it around a little bit. What a soldier should look like. We thought we were, and then we thought we were. I remember in Musakala, because it's such a massive battle. And again, you know, like it's funny to look back at the books that have been written about it now and be like, well, I didn't even know that you guys were there at the time, you know, like, and I don't know what you were doing, I don't know what your job was. Everyone's just involved in all the little thing. You know, I think it was so big to the operations, you had no idea what else was going on apart from your little contact at the time, which is the biggest thing in the world, right? But I remember seeing when we got into Musakala, again, I can't remember which one it was, but a few of you guys came down and the cameras came out. All these press came down and they started filming, and they were pristine, and we were like, "Where have you been?" And you're like, here it is again.
You knew the cameras were coming. They knew the cameras were coming, mate.
Exactly. You probably had a second set of uniform on, just like you were back to pristine again. So it was just like the same again. Like, were they even here? Of course you were. You know, but like, why don't they like us, man? What's you know, better beats. Everything is a clean shaven. Anyway, it never ended though.
I think it was similar for us in the fact that, well, my experience with paras was only ever on like Senny Bridge or Salisbury Plain or whatever, and it would only be seeing them in the galley or the cookhouse or scoff house. But my kind of perceptions changed a little when I went on my junior command course, and the sergeant who was taking me from my section through like the grading process, he was a para.
Right.
I was thinking, oh fucking hell, what's this guy going to be like? He's going to be a dick, but he wasn't. And I was like, hang on a minute, I thought all paras were dickheads.
yeah.
Turns out they're not. But he was the only para who I thought wasn't a dickhead.
Yeah. I know.
But no, he was, extremely switched on. Taught me quite a lot as well. Coached me. Didn't just, I didn't thrash us or nothing like that. I think on a junior command course, you passed that thrashing stage unless you needed it. But he coached me on things like orders and stuff like that, which I needed help with, and proper sound bloke. But it kind of changed my opinion, maybe thinking like, all right, not all of them are bad.
Yeah, see, like I've got a split experience again, because when I did my when I went on HCPRCCs, when you get your first strike, I was guards, and then the bloke was in charge of my section there. He was from one para, was got a 3 para, like, and they just come back from, what was the Herrick when it kicked off? Herrick 4.
5, I think.
Was that when it went mental with 3 para?
Yeah, 4 or 5, I think. Yeah.
Yes, so they'd just come back, and then they were like, over there. So they were doing all these they just filled the role that I despised about them initially. Like they were doing all these mental SOPs, and they were like in Afghan. You're like, what are you on about, man? Like they would. I remember them doing like we're doing some Kazakh drill, and they were literally dragging the casualty wave just proper like this, just like fully automatic, just getting rounds down. And I was like, this is everything that I thought you would be, but now worse. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like, who could wear the most ridiculous kit? Like someone had like half a South African Portian vest on with Molly kit around there, and I was like, good God, man, stop trying so hard, But then when you went in them, you were like, oh, fair one. They were. And I think you lot went to the next level. You were just left alone to do your job because you were trusted to do your job well. I think the rest of what we're going to call them, line infantry, regular infantry, was, I think they needed to be constantly, someone's always getting on top of them because you bring the dregs in, to be honest.
What, for me, what we always thought of the paras was, although you'd look after your own, there was a lot of in-house fighting too. Like, like with the corps, because you 18 months, 2 years, you're moving around. So every time you went to a different unit, I mean, I got lucky. I managed to go to 40, Faz Lane, 4-2 and 4-5. I hit them all. And I never kind of saw, there was never any derogatory about 40 Commando or 4-5 Commando. It was always like, you always knew someone because you'd seen them round. But for us looking at the paras, it was always like, yeah, you'd look, if it was a bunch of us versus you, you'd all join in. But if one of you pissed the other off, you'd fucking like, one para, 2 para, whatever, go against each other.
Yeah, it was awful.
What's all that about?
That even went in between companies, sometimes even in platoons.
Right.
Like it kind of like, if it got to Friday night, if you weren't out the block in time, your door wasn't bolted shut, someone's going to come in just like looking for a scrap. I don't know, that's what, that's. But I think with all of it, that was just, it was such an extreme, job role. It required such like eccentric, almost ridiculous like people to fill that job role. That's why it worked, and that's why it doesn't work anywhere but that.
Yeah.
And that's the issue then. Because I think when you get out and then you try and transfer it, and you're like, right, this isn't working, no one's got any crack. I remember when I went, it started transferring in the civvy careers, and I got this job as a PT trainer in Virgin Active. And I remember trashing the GN's desk because what I thought was she showed me I was trying to sign some document or something, and she walked out and like nudged me, and my pen like moved, and I took that as such a loss of face, such disrespect. I just went straight back to ironboard, and I was like, well, I just stopped what I was doing. I just went into the office and just upturned the desk, emptied all the drawers, pulled the computer up, and just there we go. That was us back on meetings now, I think. And obviously, knowing how things work now, she came the next day and said, you can't do it. I was like, you started it. But that was one of many times where I was like, oh, I need to start changing the way I behave because, nothing's quite working the way it used to. It was tough, that. Really tough. I hated that corporate world. I hated being exposed to it, having to play the game. I couldn't play the game very well.
No.
But thank God I got exposed to it early and didn't get wrapped up in it because it's an awful world.
When I left, I went into rope access and NDT, so like welding inspection and stuff like that.
Oh, mega.
And it was like a very male, dominated environment still. There were quite a few ex-forces I was working with in my first job. So that kind of made the crack. A lot of them were British as well. I got a job out in Australia. And, that transition was a lot easier, I think, for me because I was in, that's still that male dominated, the crack was there was a bit of banter, so that made my transition a little bit easier. But
yeah, I think that was probably the hardest bit of me in my life, was the transition. I went rapidly downhill, rapidly. I had an awful time for years, couldn't get my head on, for years. And we've both got examples of that. Hasn't really changed, has it? I've lost count of how many, how bad it's going for other people. But that transition was awful. And I think, I don't know, it's like Marines, but the resetting was a total joke. It was so disheartening that it was kind of a game of Kaplunk, you built yourself to such a pinnacle where you were like, I am untouchable. This is I am the pinnacle of life right now. And to an extent you were, but then you got out and you was just kind of like, right, give me your ID card, see you later. You're like, no, can't be it. It was, although you could, whenever you wanted, put the uniform back on, technically, you were never able to put it back on, and just that how quickly you were stripped of everything. You were like, felt proper let down there.
For us, it
Really
was get dressed into your suit, into like a civilian suit, normal suit. Go and see the CO. He shakes your hand, says thanks for your service. If you ever want to come back, come back. That's it. Yeah, and that's it. See you later. Have fun. And I've not had a wet shave since. Nearly 8 years. Nearly 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the hard. I think it was the hardest thing. And you know, it's still now like if there was a way to transition better. Oh well, there is a way to transition better. Don't let people take it on though, because you know, like I said, that's the job. That's the job. That's the personality. That's the kind of person you need to do that job. You get people to start thinking for themselves, and believe it or not, the recruitment just goes boom, and you know, you're left with a 20-man battalion.
Yeah,
they need that control. You know, it's a necessary thing, but it's a sacrifice that you don't quite understand that you're making at the time. You know what I mean? Like it takes a lot out off you, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Quite a bit, but it takes a lot off you as well. You're not aware of, I think, until the end. And I find that again, you know, like working back with athletes. That's why, you know, I know I'm skipping ahead a few years, but I find that that same like level of sacrifice that the athletes are needing to make and trying to manage the balance between, like, do you know what you're asking for? That's where you're not. That's the only lesson I think I've managed to hold on from the army, is understanding what they are going through a little bit more because of, you know, my service. But anyway, that's skipping ahead a few years.
What was P Company like?
It's hard that because
you'd already had experience in the army. What was it like transitioning to P Company, and how was the training?
I don't know what it was like with you guys, but I'd always kept a level of like high fitness, so I wasn't bothered. You know, like I could bracket things off quite logically. Like no matter how much this hurts, I'm literally not going to die. So I'm quite comfortable with going into like just cycling through the gates. You know, there's numerous times where I ran until I passed out. It was never it was an extreme. Like I said, we create an extreme like culture. So the actual testing, I wasn't too. God, don't get us wrong, it was tough, but I wouldn't say it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
No,
just the hardest thing at the time.
Yeah,
you know, I think God, I think I found Kenya harder than P Company.
Yeah,
personally, some of the tabs in there almost brought me to tears. You know, but I just it wasn't as bad. I don't know. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I could put logic into it. I think it's the same with anything, isn't it? It's just the fear of the unknown. That's all it was.
Yeah, I think it's for me. It was fear of failure.
Yeah.
I didn't want to fail. I mean, I was 17 when I joined. I had no life experience. I'd worked at Asda as a shelf stacker and like a paper round in the morning. That was it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say boot or goose, and it was, for me, it was fear of. There's quite a lot of stigma attached to being an original in a troop when you go through training. So, can you stay all the way with the same troop from day one to day, 9 months down the line? And if you went into what they call hunter company, which is where the lads who have either failed tests, failed assessments, or been injured, they go into there, and that was seen as you don't want to go in there. You don't want to go in there. And I'll come back to that later when I ended up being a corporal in a training team in Hunter. But for me, because I got injured so many times when I was a kid playing football, like my ankles would roll, or just little shitty injuries that would just stop me playing the week after. And I thought, how am I going to get through all of this training without getting injured? And somehow I did it. Out of, I think 64 started, there was 16 of the originals left in the troop. And that's just being lucky. There's so many things like you're lucky not to get injured. Like some lads, one of the best lads in the troop, I think he slipped over. He might have bashed his knee or something on a little rock or something, and it put him out. He couldn't do it. He had to go back in. Luckily, he followed us 2 weeks later in the following troop. But I got so lucky not to roll an ankle on, and I learned enough to pass the exam which we needed to pass and then move on. I mean, you don't truly learn anything, I think, until you get into the unit.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I don't know. Again, going back to training staff, you said there was times where I believe it was like an accumulation of points, per event, and we're getting the stretcher race, and the sergeant or the full screen I was on, was like, make sure number 17 doesn't pass. So he was like, he's got the points, but I don't want him getting through. So you set off and you're prone, the stretch is about 20 meters away, you all get up. So we all went over and just took his legs out, and that was him out of the stretcher race. So even then it was happening. It was even then it was, no one wanted. It was funny, where all that culture started. Make sure he doesn't get in. So it was a bullying culture, but a necessary one at the same time. It was big man's rule, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it was.
When I was on a training team, this is where I started to find out that politics played a big role, and the numbers getting through had to be seen as like, we're passing out this many lads and they're all going to the units, and I had this one lad, I won't mention his name, but tomorrow I'm in another kind of podcast with a lad I took through training, so it'll be good to speak to him. But
cool.
There was a lad who just did not deserve to be. I couldn't. He was in my section. I couldn't put him through training, knowing that he would potentially be on the front line with my friends, next week. I couldn't do it. But there was another rank who decided that he was going to get through no matter what, which to me, he kind of like, I was a corporal in the Royal Marines, like my judgment on this man who I'd known for, 6-7 months to this point, that a major couldn't take my, advice. I'd been in the Corps for 8 years, Iraq, Afghanistan, yet this single individual would be passing out of training. And I thought, how dare you, for starters, just because he's a number. And luckily, he didn't get through. He got injured, and then he ended up leaving. But the story.
I think everyone gets to a stage where your values or your beliefs in the regiment, the Corps, tested. That's a classic test, isn't it? Like that directly goes against everything. That's him challenging you. But if you're upholding the values of the Royal Marine, that's him challenging the value. Why do you think you're good enough to challenge the value of the whole? He wasn't just challenging you; he was challenging the whole Corps. So it's like, who do you think you are? And I think when you start doing that, however high the rank is, you're like, hang on, like, who are you? I think that happens.
This lad got caught on one of our bottom field pass out tests. He got caught cheating. He got caught ditching weight out of his webbing, and like, then he's still, this major is then still saying he's gonna pass through training. I was just like, I had hair back then. I was pulling it out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it, and that was another part of why I was just getting despondent and thinking, right, I'm getting towards the end of my career now. And I put my chit in. Yeah.
Like they were no longer, because the numbers were going down so rapidly. We were like, right, we need to hit a certain, quota. You're like, well, that goes against everything that, and you're not, like I said, you're not just, that means that like the history of, bygone of the Second World War, you're putting that to waste because, you're saying that's in the past. That's what we represent. That's everything that we hold dear. Like, and you're trying to ruin that. So, that when things started changing, I don't know if you went through the trenches. Did you go through the trenches when people started getting made redundant?
No.
We got called in. They were like, right, you've got two options. You take redundancy and you get paid a year and you leave tomorrow, or you don't take redundancy and we can get rid of you wherever you want. You're like, you what?
What?
You're like, how can you do that? You're like, there's your choices. You're like, God, what is this all about? You know?
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, right, this is ridiculous. You know?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, there's still lads going through training. They're still bringing a whole.
Yeah.
New...
Well, you know, again, looking back, you know, now, when, you know, it would cost more. There's no more operations coming up. It's going to cost more to keep the senior blokes on because of our pay grades and ranks, and if they don't need our experience because they know they're not going to commit to any kind of major operation, then it doesn't make sense to keep. You know, it's just payroll, isn't it?
Yeah.
But at the time, you were like, no, this is my life. You know, this is everything, and it was. You know, like the berry, the cap bags, everything. But for them, you know, they were just when you thought the senior blokes were like mid-50s, just because you were 17, you know, but they were only like 30 or something. You know, at the time, I just couldn't believe that that's what they were doing. But looking back now, I understand. Didn't make it any easy to accept, but I get it now. It's a business, isn't it? Unfortunately,
it is definitely that. Going into kind of like the training side of things, and I'm talking now. You've gotten through, you passed out of training, we're now at a unit, at your regiment. Looking back at your training, like physical exercise, the stuff you were doing, do you think it prepared you for your job role?
No. No, not at all. Well, no, I can't say not at all. It's far too close to it. But of course it did. Could it have been done a lot better? Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the short term, the mid term, and the long term. Right, our blokes going down with injuries, you know, like chronic pain in the early 20s.
Yeah.
Silly. But it was a mindset, wasn't it? Just like, you know, I don't know, like if you failed an event, you know, you get back squatted, you come back and try it again 2 weeks. What's going to happen in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
You know, maybe might get lucky and scrape through it, but it's like retest. You know, and now you're like, that is just insane. Yeah. And they just push blokes through until they snap, and a lot of them end up breaking, don't they?
Yeah.
So no, absolutely not.
So let's say you're at a unit or your regiment, and it's like a Monday morning, Tuesday morning. What would your would there be phys routine? Would you be up at dawn? What would you be doing? Going for a run, circuit, that type of thing? What would it be?
It would basically be the fittest officer there was in the company would come down, and you'd literally chase him on a route that would be whatever. It could be a 2 mile sprint. It could end up running 10 miles. Yeah. And that would literally be it. That was as structured as it went. And you'd come back, you'd sit on the steps, you'd all start cracking out smokes, and that would be you for that was your phys. There was no gym work. It was never a thing. Didn't even know where the gym was, to be honest with you. I didn't even know what it was. It was an abandoned building. No, it just wasn't a priority. You know, like we didn't get what it was or why it was important. Which, you know, looking now again seems absolutely mental in terms of keeping the blokes healthy. But that'll be it. If we did do a circuit, it was like someone pulled out a couple of pages of men's health and gone through a few of them, and that's as far as it would go. They didn't look at it as any system really.
I think very similar for us. Usually it'd be a run. This is why I hate running. I'm starting to like running again now. I've been doing a little bit during
lockdown. I've just started going back to it.
Well, I'm running at like my pace. And yeah, for so many years, I just got dragged around these routes, and I was just thinking, this is shit just because you're good at running.
Yeah.
But then we would do gym work. Well, some of us would go to the gym in the evening, and it would just be, you know, biceps, chest, tries, shoulders, never any leg work, never any core work. It would be like your crunches and just to get the burn on, just to kind of see a little 4-pack coming on.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
that'd be about it. And no wonder I look back, and when I left the Corps in 2012, I was broken because
Oh, dear, man.
my back was just ruined.
Yeah.
And it kind of came about, I started doing CrossFit, as you do. Loved the mentality side of things. But it ultimately broke me. And
Yeah.
it wasn't solely CrossFit. It was like the movements I was doing, I just wasn't prepared for. And because I had that mentality of go, 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 I can do anything, it ultimately broke me down.
It's such a similar story. Same, I left with chronic back pain. I remember going, to try and get it sorted. I went to the NHS and I got referral to some back pain, relief clinic. And I went there as, late 20s or the mid 20s, and I was just surrounded by like 80-year-olds, and we're doing like heel and toe touches, sat in a chair. And I was like, what has happened to my life? Like, I can't take this, but same, I left with such bad pain. And similar, found CrossFit, started to, it's easy to fall in love with, isn't it? But it's easy to fall in love with it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's fantastic if it's managed properly. Still nothing bad to say about it, really, just apart from the way that it's been branded and manufactured. But if it's managed properly, it's fantastic. But yeah, like when I phoned you, that time where I was once again, I think I might have back episodes, or had back episodes every few months. I don't just mean a bit of back pain, where I'd be up for 3 days solid because my back would be in clip. It was that bad. It would heal, it wouldn't be as painful, and I'd go and do it again. Same thing. Same mentality.
So what changed, if anything?
I think the degree and severity of pain forced me to be like, right, there's a lot of things. There's obviously something going on that you have no understanding of.
Yeah.
You're too early to be experiencing this kind of pain. And that's your choice, isn't it? And I think you've got to think of like, so what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Either I stopped training, that was never an option.
Mm-hmm.
Or I started to learn about why I was in pain. I decided then to learn about why I was in pain, and follow the route of going down the coaching route. Just fell in love with that, and that's what I think. That's what I was always in love with. Just didn't know that's what I was actually. I thought I was in love with the work. I wasn't in love with the work. That was just something I did.
Yeah. I think the injury I had has made me a 10 times better coach, just in terms of understanding the body. It forced me into a funnel of trying to learn as much as I can about the body, and why is this happening to me, and why am I going through this? I'm a Royal Marine. Why is this happening? I mean, it first started when I was 21. 21, and literally just reaching for a remote, and bang, it went. And then the gaps between the pain and they started getting shorter and shorter. It went from being like 2 years to a year, 6 months, and then it was just, I couldn't get out of it. Vicious cycle. And it wasn't until I was in Australia working where I really started to understand what was wrong. We had MRI scans, 3 herniated discs from L3 down to S1. Back was just shot. I had spinal stenosis, which is like a narrowing of the root canal, and then pretty much doctors telling me not to train or lift anything again. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
At this point, I didn't have children, and I said, well, what do you mean? Like, what about when I have kids? And he said, like, not with your back. And you can take that 2 ways. Like, if I didn't have the mentality I've got, I could have been like, well, the doctors told me not to do anything, and I end up becoming just some fat mess at wallowing in self-pity. Or I could do something about it and prove to him, not that I'm ever going to see that man again in my life. But if he could see me now compared to what was it, 7 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I'm probably the fittest and strongest I've ever been in
Yeah.
my entire life. And
Feels good, I don't know, it feels good.
oh, hugely. To be able to come through, you know, the debilitating pain, which, you know, many people like ourselves would have been through, either knee pain, back pain, whatever it might be, to know to come through the other side and just to finish a workout, or for myself and like you starting jiu-jitsu, being able to roll with somebody
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not feel like I'm going to break in half.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. If you'd have told me 6 years ago you will be starting jiu-jitsu before lockdown, I'd have been like, no way ever. But yeah, it's just learning a different path. It's not all about smashing yourself to get yourself fit. And
Do you know what? I have that chat with a lot of me, a lot of the athletes that I train, especially the younger ones who are at the, who think they're peaking, but they're nowhere near the potential. But still in that mindset of like smash, 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 and you're like, yes, definitely, yep, I understand that. That's got its role to play, but without trying to get in their way, let me tell you from experience, that's got a very short lifespan. It looks glamorous, it looks sexy, and it only ends one way. It only ends one way. So if you're willing to give everything for a 12-month career and be great for 12 months, okay. But from my experience, and this takes level of maturity on their side as well and acceptance. But yeah, that's another story as well. We're trying to get people to understand. But it helps, to empathise with them and not let me tell you how this goes, but
yeah.
I've got experience of how this can progress.
So how do you approach then? A new athlete comes to you. Obviously, you're very active on social media. They might have seen you on there. They might have had word of mouth, whatever. They've just come to you. What's the kind of process you go through with a new athlete that's coming on board? Who it might be high amateur level, it might be professional, whatever. What's your process?
The athletes are super tough. I think there are a lot. There's two ways to go about this. I think what I thought was the more accomplished the athlete, the more successful I'm becoming. So going that mindset was, I think it's tough. It's tough. It's tough to describe because I start to understand now that regardless of the level of the athlete, trying to actually align them with what they want to get out of their sporting career and or life is super challenging. So I need to see where they are there, because I feel that my best work's done when I can help them on both sides of the spectrum of like being the athlete and being I hate to use the word, being the human.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to see where they are there. That's my biggest thing, because I find it quite hard to disconnect from all I see with athletes. Just smash, smash, smash. I want to go hard. I want to be best. I want to win championships. And like get whatever they say at the start, I normally find a lie. Just getting past the ego and getting past those few layers of like, what do you actually want? Do you understand what you're actually asking me to do? That's the thing I do the most. And of course, when it comes down to the assessments and stuff, we can go to them. But I think it's such a deep question. Because again, from experience, taking our military experience, that's the same thing. It's the pinnacle of sport. But the sacrifice that takes to get there, do you understand what you're asking for?
Mm.
I mean, that's where I need to see where they are. First of all, I need to see what's happening in there, really. Otherwise, it just becomes a bit of a game of they do what you tell them to do, and it's all well and good, but they're really buying. They don't really trust you because they don't know how much you actually care. That's the first thing I need to get nailed, which is the death of social media at the same time. It's a curse. It is a curse. It is. That's my biggest thing. I found, the other day, speaking about process of assessment, I went on a call. It was a really good call, and there was two super technical coaches there, super technical. And I recently enrolled in a really good conditioning cert. Joel Jameson, I've heard of his stuff.
Yeah,
8 weeks, really good. Yeah, really good. Have you got experience with it?
Yeah, I've got his band Morpheus, and I've been
right. Oh, fantastic! So, and I realised then that was where things were changing, because I was there's so many coaches now who are super clued up. There's like, there's a queue of people with degrees and master doctorates almost coming through.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, that's not me anymore. So like I actually put myself off the certification. I was like, that's not where my best work is actually done. And look at the people and the athletes that I work with. Every time they give me feedback, without asking for, every time they give me feedback, they're like, you've really helped me align with why I do what I do. And they've only started to experience that isn't just to do with the training. So as far as the assessment goes, it's probably a very loose answer, but it just goes, the stuff that I do, it just goes a lot deeper than the practical, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, you could baffle somebody all day with knowledge, and they might think, oh my God, he knows so much. But if you can't connect on that level with him, to, what's the point in knowing all that stuff if you can't get it?
And that's exactly what I found. And I found it time and time again. I've been to professional bodies where they've been, I went to a professional rugby team, and they were talking about, when the first, the GPS came out, that would be, the back of the shirts and whatnot, would track all this, and they were showing me how good this technology was. I was like, yeah, but, the team's in a massive losing streak. I was like, you got any players here to have a chat with them? They're like, oh, I don't know where they are. I was like, I'm not sure why we're talking about technology when there's obviously a much greater problem. Why? I don't think you're losing because of the lack of technology. I don't think that's the case, But they were like, and then, after that, we'd go for a thing like, oh, so what university did you go to? I was like, I didn't go to university. They were like, how can you be stuck on tail? Most of you have been to university for the past 7 years doing what you're like, and your team's still losing. So are we going to stop measuring dicks and we're going to get to it, or and that's what I found that especially UK, that's the scene that I was contending with, and I'm just happy to let it go, let them do that, and let them battle me with the latest research and science. Not saying it's not relevant, but it's not my thing anymore. There's people that do it much better than me, and I'm fine with
that. So within your kind of coaching realm at the minute, where do you kind of see yourself going down? Are you content with how you're getting on? And would you, obviously saying the conditioning certification you came off, is there anything, to progress? Are you looking at anything to do, or is it kind of just staying as you are?
It's tough. That I always at this point, the old me was like, every few months you'd be like reassessing, like, right, more. Something's, you could do more. And this is the only time, probably in my life, that I felt genuine contentment with what I'm doing. There is no, I'm not giving myself a hard time. There's no more guilt in myself. Like, I always have a question of like, should I open a gym? Do I need more equipment? Do I get more clients? Do I need to go high? Do I need to somehow get into Bellator? Is this the goal? Do I need to go like Olympics and that? And I found that was and that chase just like, I don't know, it sends me off on a mad spiral where my work just takes a massive hit, because I've got a problem with saying that like what I'm doing is actually good enough. And the athletes are looking for the same thing. If you think about it, they're actually looking for the same thing, like, you are doing enough, you are doing all the right things. But I think I always had a problem with more. So right now is the only time where everything just seems to be, I think this lockdown has been a massive part to do with that, to look at what I've actually got and be like, this is all good.
Yeah.
So in terms of progression, I want to do less. I want less than what I've got. I want to spend less time in the gym, in the actual gym. I want to do I want to make sure my work has the same impact that it does now, as meaningful as it is to everyone. I feel that it is to everyone. But I'm just trying to minimise everything as much as I can. I've got no desire for, I don't know whether this is me being too closed off, but I've got no longer a desire for growth in terms of what we would think about, naturally as open a facility and a bigger facility, then more clients, then more members, then more kit.
Yeah.
I've managed to leave that alone, which finally feels like a burden's been lifted, because it would always pull me back, like, you're not doing enough. Then I'd be another certification, never enough.
That's it. There's always there's always too much to learn. What kind of gets me is I sometimes get overwhelmed with how much there is actually to learn, and the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know anything.
It's a super powerful thing to say that, and not enough people say is, I don't know. Especially in this time right now, how we are now, that's shown us that as well, isn't it? Like every time they want to make an announcement, what the dying to say is, oh, what's the updates? Oh, I don't know. They're dying to say that. It's a powerful thing to say because you put all your cards together and you're being honest. And in terms of if you're gonna align the way you do your coaching practice with the values, I'm sure being trustworthy, being honest with yourself and the people is a big one. I think being okay with, I don't know, is a powerful thing to say. Especially with the athletes as well. There's so much jostling for who can name the most complex system in the body and do a social media post on it. And you're like, does anyone care, man? There's so many coaches like puffing the chest and let me show you how long I've spent studying. All right. what? It baffles me. But I'm only saying that because I was there doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Don't do that anymore.
How have you kind of connected with or kept in contact with your clients at the minute with obviously everything going down?
So this goes a bit deep as well. So when this all kicked off, I decided to do a whole new. So I've got two Facebook groups. I've got the Facebook group where all my clients can go on, and it will be informative, and that'll be it. It would just be it would be mostly like a resource pool of things I was reading or studying, but it was all about Fizz, just Fizz really. Whereas I thought, if people are going to be forced to spend a lot of time by themselves, and for me having to do that in my bad days, I was like, I think they're going to experience something similar to what I experienced upon leaving the army. Like they're going to have all these thoughts about and reflections, and probably a lot of like resentment on the way their lives go because a lot of them have been taken off. And so I was like, can I support them with all these life experiences and take it beyond coaching? And that's been the biggest thing. There's I think doing it for the past, how long have we been at this now? Is it 7 weeks?
8 weeks.
8 weeks now, is it?
Yeah.
I get messages from people who are like, who've trained for a long period of time, like only now do I feel like the training is genuinely changing my life because we're tackling, life. The gym is the gym, but it is just something we do. It's important. It's a priority. It's massive, but it's just something we do. It's not who we are. So starting to just slowly open the door to that stuff and guide them through that a little bit. That's the biggest change in them. And I've got some people who it repulses, who don't leave, but are like, all this stuff you're doing is ridiculous. I don't come here for life lessons. I come here to lift a barbell. I'm like, well, that's fine. I haven't got any barbells right now, so either you take life lessons or there's not much I can do anymore. That's how it's gone.
Did you ever, just to kind of finish off, did you ever think the mentality you used to have as a para, did you ever see yourself in a kind of coaching role the way you are now? Do you think it's been a natural progression to you, or do you think it's kind of wow, if you were to like go back
That's a
10
big
years,
question, that, like.
15 years, and then look at yourself now, what would you think you'd be like?
That's a big question, that. Um, Tough, that. I think, I speak myself, but I don't know if you have the same thing, but do you not feel like when you're ready to let go of one life and you're at that literal crossroads, like, do I keep a hold of everything that I was, or do I completely let it go? And it's just a knock of pride, a knock of ego. But
Yep.
I think what I'm doing now was not only a necessary thing to do, it was also like an essential thing to do. I'd never left the army go. That was my biggest thing. I'd held on to it for a long time, so it always had control of me. And I was clinging on to the lessons that it taught me. I'm not trying to chuck it in the bus, because the lessons and experience was so valuable. But I'm only getting to a stage now where I realise that isn't me anymore. It was just something that I did. That was it. It was just a personality and just a mask that I'd just forgotten to take it off for a long period of time. So in fact, you did know me a few years ago. I was super, what's the word? Bit of a dick, really. Like my way, no way. Like, I wouldn't mind calling people out. I'd be like quite aggro. And that was me just harbouring a lot of the army with me. And now I've finally been okay with taking all the experiences and be like, yeah, it's all sound, yeah, it's mega. I've got all these great stories and great experiences, but they no longer dictate how I do anything. Does that make sense?
It does. It's good to kind of see that you've had you've led a life where you've had so many experiences. You can look back on them and take parts of them that are warranted now, and you can leave them other parts behind and have no problem with that. And I do think some people have such a hard time transitioning because they can't let go. And
I think we're starting to see that now on a small scale with people. People that are out of work now and been furloughed. It's like, yeah, but my job. You're like, are you your job?
Yeah.
Is that all you are? Just your job?
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of like, where I think so. Like, no, God, no, not at all. It's just what you do. That's all. That's just all you do. Just because you did it for a long period of time, you did nothing else, doesn't mean that's who you are. It's just what you do. And again, that was me. Quite a long time ago. That was everything. Just a job. Just a job. So that's the biggest change. That's why I'm grateful for this time now. Can't be any more grateful for it. It's a good time. It's a tough time, challenging time, but we'll never get this again, man.
No, I said that 8 weeks off, not off, but 8 weeks of, semi-off, semi-non-tack.
How's it been for you with clients and business and the rest of it?
It's been all right. Obviously, having the gym, and at first it was like, shit, what do we do? If every single member decided to leave, that's us done. We've been incredibly lucky where, the vast majority of our members are stuck by us. We lent out a lot of equipment. Luckily we could do that. So we've lent out a lot of equipment. I've been doing programming for, kettlebell and bodyweight programmings for most of the members, and it's been all right. So we're hoping, it don't last too much longer and we can keep everyone on board. Some people have had to leave, and it's unfortunate, but I know they'll be back.
Yeah, it's fine. I had a couple as well at the start who were like, it's hard, when I always believed that a lot of the stuff that I was doing in the gym was always big in the gym. We were always doing, deeper subjects than just training, whether it was an athlete or an everyday Joe. And when people said, I'm going to leave because I'm only here to train, I was like, oh, I thought it was quite hurtful. I thought that it meant more than that. But at the same time, I was like, oh, I totally get that. I'd probably do the same thing, you know. And then they've actually only come back on board the past week and be like, you know what, I really miss everyone. And they still haven't seen them. We've seen them on Zoom calls and we've done a little, team workouts and that. But they're starting to see that without me like, you don't understand what you've got and let me tell you how important all this is. Without me ever doing that, they start to see that it was always more than training. It was always more than lifting, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's always more than that, isn't it, man?
Of course it is.
Not one member, not one athlete has said to me, all I want to do is train, lift weight. That's all I come here for.
Yeah.
And the athletes have been great as well. Talking to some of them about what they're going to do with their career. We'd never get that time normally, and they are being forced to look at that. It's right in their face now. So for some, it's been a great time to realign a lot of what's important to them.
Yeah.
I think they'll come out of it strong.
Awesome. Hopefully it won't be too much longer.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't want to sound immature, but it can go on. For me, it can go on as long as maybe. I'm like a traveling hobo, but like with you, you've got of course a gym and facility run. I remember years ago, I had a really good client base, really solid client base. I was doing really well, and then one day I was like, right, off to Kenya. And I nipped off to Kenya, 7 months with 2 para, just for like that. Just went, lost all my clients, didn't give a fuck. And I do that all the time because I just find it so hard to get attached to anything, And all I was attached to was the army. But now that the army go, I feel quite free to just be here doing this.
Yeah.
And help other people do that is pretty important to me.
That's awesome. So just to finish off, mate, again, first of all, thank you for your time. Much appreciated. If anybody wants to find you on like Instagram and stuff, what's your kind of handle?
Yeah, so I've changed Instagram. If you go to MW Training Systems, I'll text that, but MW Training Systems on Instagram. I've come off Facebook because it's very noisy, it's very boring, and I'm sick of videos of cats. But I'm trying to keep this new Instagram channel informative and different, a bit more meaningful. I've stopped spamming myself. So yeah.
I'll put all that in the description below, and we'll kind of leave it there, mate. But yeah, thank you very much, mate.
My pleasure, mate. Thank you very much for having me on.
I'll speak to you soon, all right?
Yes, will do, Matty. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, buddy, mate. Bye-bye.
See you later, man.